Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a great day, and above all else, that you're indeed looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get into the topic of what we hope to be another entertaining, wonderful episode, yes, we have to be entertaining, guys. I want to welcome back to the channel, Jim Bricker. How's it going, Jim?
I'm doing all right, but I'm perplexed about how we're going to be entertaining today.
We'll work it out. And the one
All
and
right.
only Ken Cheshire.
Good morning, guys.
He's got the right idea, ladies and gentlemen, and it is morning for us, ladies and
Caffeine,
gentlemen.
caffeine.
Yes, 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 yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with album anniversaries. We are looking at albums celebrating their, well, first of all, I should say that this is a two-part episode. We have 11 albums to talk about, but we've split this up into two parts to make it easier for us to bring to you and for
So
you
we
to,
thought.
so we thought.
Yeah.
Everyone's a smartass, and
Yep.
for us to bring to you and for you to take in. So we've got five albums to talk about this week. These are albums that are celebrating their 60th and 50th anniversaries. And guys, this is a hell of a list. Going from, for me, one end of the spectrum to another. So, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some good albums to talk about. Kicking off our 60th albums of celebrating the 60th anniversaries, we've got uh, The Sound of Silence from Simon and Garfunkel, released on January 17th, 1966, recorded from April 5th to December 22nd, 1965, with the exception of the backing track for the title track, The Sound of Silence, recorded on excuse me, March 10th, 1964, produced by Bob Johnston and Tom Wilson for Columbia Records, with a whopping playing time, massive, of 29 minutes and 9 seconds. So, I will give my opinion on this release last, as is customary with these episodes. Jim, what is your view?
Well, well. Mr. Simon and Mr. Garfunkel. This I don't know if people know this, but this was not the first Simon and Garfunkel album. The first one was Wednesday Morning, 3 a.m., I think was the name of it, which was very just acoustic in nature, a lot more true to the folk roots from which Paul germinated. Um, but this is the first one I think that everyone kind of knows because it's got the electric version of Sounds of Silence on it. And it's got, three other just absolute Paul Simon killer classics on it as well. In fact, I kind of divided this album into Paul Simon classics, folky tunes, hippie tunes, and something that's just kind of other because it doesn't really fit. Like Somewhere They Can't Find Me and Leaves That Are Green to me kind of fit into the other category. You've got we've got a groovy thing going, which owns the hippie category. Um, the folky tunes like Blessed, Angie, Richard Corey, Most Peculiar Man. But the diamonds of this record across the 11 tracks are, of course, the title track, Kathy's song, April Come She Will, and I Am a Rock. And this album is completely worth it. Just standing on the shoulders of those four songs alone because they are freaking drop dead classics. I mean, if Paul Simon never wrote songs after those four, I think he would have staked a solid place in the songwriters pantheon just with those. They're just so great. Um, yeah, I mean it's a quick album. It's in and out. It does its job. It's obviously, there are elements of 1966 in there, but it's not kind of awash with all of the trappings of the time. I think that has to do with a lot of just kind of the pure folk aesthetics that go across all the songs. I really like this record a lot of the big four of the Simon and Garfunkel canon. It's, you know, probably at the bottom of the four, but you know, it's at least an 8.5 out of 10 for me. It's an absolutely, great album, and I would listen to it from track one to track 11 without any skips whatsoever. Yeah, this is just fantastic. If folks haven't heard it, you know, take it out for its birthday, take it out for a nice dinner, give it a nice shot of Macallan, what have you, and just enjoy its company. It's a fantastic record, Sounds of Silence.
Jim, if you could pick one song off this album, which would it be?
I'm stuck between Kathy's song and April Come She Will. I'm cheating towards the latter, but it's really hard. Kathy's song starts with "I hear the drizzle of the rain," right? Um, um, it's one of those two, but I'm kind of leaning towards April. How about for you, Ken?
April,
Yeah, okay.
for sure.
Armando.
And of course, it's the shortest one off the album. So,
Well,
Well, for me, I mean, this album overall, I mean, you can't deny the the songwriting quality of Simon. And I wasn't really familiar with this album overall. Like I knew the hits, obviously, like when you hear them on radio, and obviously everybody knows the Sounds of Silence. But I was not really familiar with this album. Um, I like Angie, which is the instrumental. I like that.
hmm
The soundtrack obviously is a classic. Uh, Leaves Are Green, Blessed is Wonderful, Kathy's song, I Am a Rock, the title, the final track. I think it's amazing.
Yeah,
The harmonies on this are just they blended so wonderfully together, right?
yeah.
It's a shame they couldn't have it continue. Eventually, they had issues. But yeah, this is a great album. To me, this is a mood-setting album. In terms of just has its moments of of brightness, has its moments of melancholy. I think it's a great album. I think it's a great album. So yeah, check it
Where
out.
where does it stack for you amongst the big four?
I'm not honestly familiar with the Big Four, so this was
Ah,
to me this was a brand new experience for me.
okay. Well, the
So
big four, just so people know, it's this, and then Parsley, Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme, Bookends, and then Bridge Over Troubled Water.
okay,
Those are the big four Simon and Garfunkel albums.
okay,
Ken, am I missing something? You think I should be counting the Graduate soundtrack in there, or no? Okay.
for a minute, I thought you were talking about songs, not albums. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
okay.
I would like to point out to our viewers that we've mentioned the song Angie. That's different than the Rolling Stones song,
Yeah,
a
Yes.
different
yeah,
spelling.
yeah.
So,
This
yeah,
this track Angie is an instrumental. It's spelled Anji.
hmm
Um, it's just a nice little. I guess you can call it a nice respite from you know, uh, the tracks that came before it. I think it's
sure.
just a nice little break with what they
hmm
were doing. I'm beginning to like a lot of instrumental sort of interludes or little breaks in albums and stuff.
Sure.
And I've said this
Yeah.
before. The, Depending where it's placed, it has many purposes,
Yeah.
and this is no different. So,
Yeah.
but
And
no,
Good
Angie
album.
also kind of, sorry, Ken, it kind of
Okay.
robs liberally from the melodies of Somewhere They Can't Find Me and Got a Groovy Thing Going, if memory serves right.
okay, all right, and it should be said 29 minutes and 9 seconds. Most of these songs are a minute 51 to 2 minutes and change at the very most. I mean, they're in and out. Okay, you know, one or two takes, it sounded like to me in terms of the music itself, and then they were out, they were done. So a quick album. It's not labor intensive in terms of having to sit and listen to it. But which
But it
music
does
should?
what it needs to do. Yeah,
Yes,
it's perfunctory, but man, it's like,
it has its,
well, what do you want to do? Add like 3 more minutes to Sounds of Silence? No, it doesn't. It doesn't need it.
it doesn't need it. No. Um, and it is short, but it is powerful nonetheless. You know, um,
It's an album of its time. You know,
very much so. Very much so.
I was 7 years old, so
Wait a minute! No, 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 no! You weren't 7 years old in 1966. Come on.
You have,
I was born in '59. Is my math off?
no,
No,
you
my math is off.
there you
Okay.
go. There you go. All right.
Now, who's the one who only has coffee in his cup? Yeah, right.
And there you
Sorry.
go. There you go. Okay. Carrying on, ladies and gentlemen. This one's going to go off the rails really quick if it already hasn't. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the next album in our list of part one of album anniversaries, we have Miles Davis with Four and More, a live recording released on 1st of, sorry, January 17th, 1966. My apologies. Recorded on the 12th of February, 1964. Released again for Columbia Records with a total playing time of 52 minutes and 53 minutes and 53 seconds. Sorry, guys. The venue that they recorded at was the Philharmonic Hall in New York City, produced by a longtime producer of Miles Davis, Teo Macero. Playing with Miles Davis in this group, you have Herbie Hancock on piano, uh, George Coleman on tenor saxophone, Ron Carter on bass, and the great Tony Williams on drums. Uh, 6 tracks in total on this piece, or 8, depending if you listen to it on YouTube, because the tracks are separated that way. Um, Jim, your view?
Yes, my view. So I had to kind of go, oh, at Tony Williams because
Yeah, yeah.
17-year-old Tony Williams steals the show on this album. And I'm just kind of in the midst of finishing Miles's autobiography, and he is just effusive about what a freight train Tony Williams was, even at 17 freaking years old. So, a little bit of context. So, Armando mentioned the players here. This is almost the second great quintet um, in Miles's career. You lose George Coleman, and you add in Wayne Shorter, and then you've got the second great quintet. But all of the uh, all of the raw rhythmic materials are here from Hancock, Carter, and Tony Williams. So this album is kind of the second of two parts. The full evenings recordings were released between this album and a one that came out previously called My Funny Valentine. Um, the way that they structured the albums is that My Funny Valentine leans more towards the ballads, whereas Four and More is kind of more of the cookers.
Well, yeah, more of the up
And
tempo, yeah, up tempo
yeah,
tracks, yeah.
um, of additional note behind this record is that this album was done as a benefit performance, or the concert was done as a benefit. And going into the concert, like up until it started, like an hour or so beforehand, none of the guys knew that they weren't getting paid. They didn't know it was a benefit, and they were kind of pissed off. They almost, called off the whole show. They were really angry at Miles for not being upfront about it. They decided to go on with the gig, and they just kind of say, "Don't do this again to us, Miles." But everyone was pissed off. Everyone was really mad, and it's on the tunes on this album where I think that aggression, the anger, those sort of bad feelings kind of come to the fore, and you can you can hear the aggression in their playing. I mean, a lot of these tunes are I'll call them standards in the Miles book, So What, Walkin', Joshua, Four,
For
yeah,
Seven
Seven
Steps to
Steps to
Heaven,
Heaven,
there's
yeah,
no
There
greater
Is No
love.
Greater Love, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it's um yeah, it's just absolutely breakneck, stunning post bop, just absolutely slamming that happens on this album. Again, it's all propelled by Tony Williams. Ron Carter is absolutely smoking on the acoustic bass, just trying to keep up with Williams and what he's
Yeah.
doing.
Oh, Williams
Um,
is a monster.
yeah,
Yeah.
Herbie is doing some unbelievable, comping and feels in the background, and his solos are great. Miles is in great form, being, pretty solidly, well, he's solidly heroin free at this point. I won't comment on the rest of the drug use, but
Hmm.
yeah, every track on this album is just an absolute banger. Sorry, Ken, I had to use the word. Um, this is not
Okay.
this is not for like jazz newbies. Um, but I will throw a qualifier in there because a lot of the playing, you know, doesn't follow the normal chord progressions. I think we've used this example a lot where, if they're playing, Someday My Prince Will Come, they're going to state the head of the tune, and then whatever's happening in the solo pieces, they're still going to follow the chord progression. So you can still
But
kind of hum, Someday My Prince Will Come underneath it, even though they're
yeah,
not playing the melody as stated. Here, they're kind of just abandoning the basic chords structures of the song after the head, and they're just blowing, and it's really it's a little disorienting if you're not a jazz fan, because you just sort of need to work your way up to it. It's the reason why you don't jump from, as a kid, you don't jump from the Beatles to Laurie Anderson and expect to understand Laurie Anderson, immediately. This because
yeah,
it's a whole different vocabulary sort of going on there.
yeah.
Um, I mean, it's an absolutely astounding record, and from someone who's got a whole discography of astounding records. I will The one caveat I had about just not being able to get this album, little 12-year-old Pat Metheny heard this album. This was his first jazz album, and he heard it from his brother. And this is the thing that turned him into a jazzer. Otherwise, he just would have gone on and just tried to be like a Beatles type of player. But this was the thing that absolutely blew his head wide open. Um, so not important to why this album is good, but it's kind of fun and noteworthy for all of us here who are Pat fans. But yeah, four and more. It's a great record. It's a cooker.
It is a cooker. What I like about it is Tony Williams playing is just, they're all exemplary. I mean, Herbie Hancock on piano, to me, there's a fluidity to his playing on piano. It's unmatched by anybody at that point. I mean, and Tony Williams on drums, forget it. I mean, he is a monster. And you unleash him on the drums, there's no telling where he's gonna go. You
Yeah.
it's just amazing. It is just amazing. But no, it's good information that you gave there. Um, have you heard this album, Ken?
It's
Did
been
you
a
have
long
it?
time. Yeah, it's probably um, it's probably on the very edge um, of Davis's stuff. I like things my jazz a little bit more traditional. Earlier jazz with a little more form. But
Okay.
yeah,
So like the mid to late 50s Miles stuff
yeah,
comparatively.
yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
So just to throw a little more context around this, this
Yes.
this same
Please do.
band, um, uh, plus a few tracks with Wayne Shorter, were celebrated in a box set that came out earlier in 2025. I think it's like Miles Davis Bootleg Series Volume 8, I think, if memory serves right. It's the Paris recordings, and it's a bunch of Oh, I think it's about 4 or 5 shows in all that were done in and around Paris in 64 and 65, if memory serves right.
I
It's
think we
this
have those.
combo. What's that?
Sorry, not to cut you off. I think you and I and Ken were talking about getting the. I think we have that collection.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we do. We do. Yeah, yeah,
It's a great set. Um, and again, very much of, like this in terms of um songs that are performed, the nature of the performances.
yeah.
However, coming soon, as we record this, there is a reissue of the complete live at the Plugged Nickel, which was a set of shows in 65, which is the classic second great quintet. And this is where they really began to kind of stretch out a little bit, and where you would barely recognize what the songs are, even by the head, just in terms of what they're doing with the structure of the melody, or even just with the tempo. These guys were just on fire. So it's worth something. I hope that we can check out when that gets re-released. It's an 8 disc set, and it is just can it probably won't be up your alley because it might just be a little bit too fiery,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
again, Tony Williams is like, it just staggers belief.
Okay, you piqued my curiosity. When is this coming out?
By the time this episode airs, it may be out, or it's going to come out very soon. So I think it's January-ish of 26.
Okay, here, Amazon, here we come. Okay, no, I'm getting that. I'm getting that. Bloody hell. Thank you. Thank you. If I had a cigarette right now, I'd smoke it. But it's good. That's good. Don't smoke, kids. It's not good for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are leaving our album celebrating their 60th anniversary. We're moving into albums celebrating their 50th anniversary. And we've got three to talk about that are how can I put, they're great albums from artists that were at different points in their career, um, but great nonetheless. Starting off with Bob Dylan and Desire, released uh, the 5th of January, 1976, recorded, excuse me, recorded in stages, recorded July 28th to 31st and August 11th and October 24th, 1975. This was a very interesting time in Dylan's career. He was doing the part of the well, ahead of of the Rolling Thunder review that he was doing, and he was also recording with the band at this point. Uh, this release was produced by Don DeVito, released for another Columbia release. Total playing time of 56 minutes and 13 seconds. Listed as folk rock. Now, the singles that were released from the album were Hurricane, Mozambique, One More Cup of Coffee, and a very interesting album. The in on this album performing, you have Scarlett Rivera on violin. You also have Emmylou Harris on backup vocals on all tracks. Very interesting combination with these two harmonically in terms of their vocal delivery together. Uh, the song Hurricane, dedicated to Reuben Carter. Uh, everyone knows the story about Reuben Carter, a boxer that was wrongfully convicted of murder. And I'll give my opinion of this release at the very end. I almost went off on a tangent there. Uh, Jim, your opinion of Desire, please.
So yeah, you touched on the length of this album, 56:13. It runs a little bit long for my ears. To me, a little bit of Bob Dylan goes a long way. But having said that, this may be my favorite Bob Dylan album. Maybe. Um, it is, yeah, a lot of these songs were recorded prior to the first Rolling Thunder tour.
Yeah.
Um, Originally, the sessions for this, they had like 17 people in the studio, like four guitarists, of which Eric Clapton was one. And he's appears on one of the tracks on here, I think on side two. Um,
Yeah.
but most of the record is this more stripped down band. Dylan sort of pulled everything back and said, all right, let's make this a little bit more intimate. And you've got Emmy Lou on backing vocals. You've got Scarlett on violin. And one more thing about this album that's notable is that most of the songs were written with Jacques Levy, who was this dude that, kind of ran around with Dylan at in this time period a little bit.
Right.
And so the nature of the songs are different. I think mostly Jacques contributed to the lyrics here and there, but there are songs that are completely written by Bob, like Sarah is, totally written by
Yeah,
him.
I mean that. Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, so I mean, this song has got its epics on it. Hurricane, I'll count Isis as an epic. Joey, which kicks off side two about the mobster. They're all like Dylan epics. I think Joey has like 12 stanzas in it.
yeah,
It's, pretty lengthy.
yeah. 11
Um,
minutes plus. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's really hard to kind of talk about Dylan because it's like what can you say? He's just so unique. He's so it's very hard. Everyone says Dylan-esque, and you know what they mean.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
poetic, it's melodic, it's what's the term, Ken? Is it melismatic in terms of how the vocals are delivered?
Sure.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, um, yeah, and it's all over the place. I mean, the song Isis for me, I know I had heard it before, but I've never really kind of took the time to just study the lyrics. And this song is just this massive metaphor about the narrator kind of trying to kill and bury his old self so he can, you know, kind of arise from the grave, if you will, and sort of get back to Isis to reestablish, some relationship as a new man. Of course, it's
Yeah.
all in a metaphor of, adventure, fortune, snowstorms, treasure hunting. I mean, the song goes everywhere, but yet at its core, the metaphoric heart of it is just really intimate and kind of painful. Um, and then there's songs that are just kind of more simple, like One More Cup of Coffee or, Mozambique, Romance in Durango. But even when Dylan is just being simple, there's still a heck of a lot of depth there to everything, and you can't just sort of brush it away.
No.
Um, I you forgive me, Armando, but I haven't watched the episode yet where you and Sagosh kind of went into the three Dylan albums and kind of did a deep dive
Yeah,
in them. Desire was one of those three, right?
yeah, yeah. It was number two. Yeah, the three sides of Dylan. Um, Sagosh wanted to talk about the progression of his career in terms of his writing style and how he sort of went from point A to point C, I guess, one, two, three, ABC. And yeah, this was noted by Sagosh as being one of his favorite albums of from this time period. And listening to it, I would agree. It is long. It is. I'm coming to the table with regards to Dylan very late in that. First of all, did I cut you off? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was done.
Okay. Um, I just want to make sure, and I hate doing that. So, um, for me, the sticking point with Dylan, at one point, it was the same with Tom Petty with it was his vocals. But with Tom
Sure.
Petty, for example, once I got to understand what he was doing musically and where he came from with his background, I developed a major appreciation for his songwriting and his style. And I'm kind of leaning towards that way with Dylan. Not all the way. Like it's not like a long distance bromance kind of thing going on with him, but in terms of his music, but I can listen to an album now and kind of understand where he's coming from. And his 70s period for me is like that. With albums like Desire. I think it's a good album. It's a personal album on some levels with songs like Sarah. I think First of all, I think his choice of having Emmylou Harris on the album doing vocals with him doing the harmonies, I think is a nice idea, a good idea. Sorry, I think they harmonize really well. Uh, with I don't want to use that, peeling back of an onion metaphor because it's so cheesy at this point in time. But there are different
Hmm.
levels. There are different levels to Dylan in terms of his songwriting, in terms of his approach for lyrics. Um, but at times on this album, he gets really personal. He gets really personal. Like, with One More Cup of Coffee. Um, he digs deep, but at the same time, he also keeps you at a distance. He lets you see what he wants you to see, and then he backs off. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like Sarah, for example, is a song to his wife because he was going through a divorce at that time. They were estranged, just like songs for was previous release, Blood on the Tracks, which is my favorite Dylan album, I gotta say. I think this is second, Blood on the Tracks is number one for me. But I think this is a good album. It is long. It is long. Bring a lunch when you listen to it. You know what I mean? And a pillow to take a nap if you need to. But yeah, I think it's a good album, and I think it surprised a lot of people in terms of what he wanted to do. I mean, the fact that he went electric, he surprised a lot of people, and the fact that he played with the band surprised a lot of people. But I think this is just another step in his um, musical evolution. You know, other songs of note for me, Romance and Durango, with an use of mandolin on that track. I think it's great. I think Scarlett Rivera's work on this album is exemplary. I think she's great. With Black Diamond Bay. I think it's a great track as well. So
Yeah.
I think this is a well balanced album. Again, it is a long album, ladies and gentlemen. So again, pack a lunch when you want to listen to it, but it's good. It's good. I think this was necessary for him to do. So
I think one of the reasons I like this album, other than just the material on it, is I wasn't a big fan of the previous album of the Basement Tapes. Um, there, I wanted on the Basement Tapes, I wanted more of Dylan than of the band. It just seemed like he was kind of taking not really a back seat, but almost like he was relegating himself to, just a another member. So this album was a very welcome, and one reason I like it, but also because of where he went after this with later in the year with Hard Rain. Hard Rain's got some of my favorite Dylan songs on it. And
yeah,
so, and just the progression between working with the band and then Rolling Thunder Review and then going into Hard Rain, um, they're very distinct to my ear. And it kind of reminds me when we talk about the progression of the Beatles, the fact that they progress from one point A to point D, for one of the better
yeah, yeah,
allegory, within just less than 10 years. And
yeah,
and
yeah,
so Dylan was doing, the same thing. And Hard Rain, um, clocks in at 51 minutes. So he wasn't holding back, with Maggie's Farm, Lay Lady Lay, Shelter from the Storm, and all of those, which to me kind of gets back to his I don't want to say roots, but it's just really at this point that I think it really his songwriting really hits, and because I honestly I hadn't bought a Dylan album before he came out with Biograph, and
Hmm.
so I was ingesting everything all at once without any sense of
It's a lot to take
chronology.
in. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
without
Yeah,
lot to
any
yeah.
sense of chronology, and it being an anthology. So, but yeah, I think it's yeah, this period, the mid '70s, I think was a great time for Dylan, for me.
For
I,
Dylan and for you.
I
Yeah,
I I think that if you have an artist, this is this is this is the thing about music, and it's a broader statement in that if you have an artist that is has been around, say, for 10, 15 years, if you're lucky,
yeah,
these days, and they have a vast body of work, you can cherry pick from any time of their existence in terms of their discography what you like most. Um, I'm, and there's no right or wrong answers. Music will hit you whenever it hits you, and you'll connect with it when you're meant to, if you're ever meant
yeah,
to. There's no right or wrong with that, right? I mean,
yeah,
um, with Bowie, some people who's going to figure into this episode, some people like his early period, some people like his 70s period, some people like his 80s period, his 90s period,
yeah,
his 2000s. I mean, it there's no rhyme or reason to it.
yeah.
So that's
And
why
after all, who knew Danny DeVito could produce albums so well?
there you go. Catch us 11 o'clock show, guys. It gets worse from here. All right. No, I think that for him, just in closing, for Dylan, he was well past the point of, first of all, he never tried to appease Columbia Records. And I think he was well past the point of Columbia needs a hit from me. We need to go with something. We need to write something. He was going to write and do whatever the hell he wanted to do. And in his own way, on his own terms. And you know what? This is the album, release it. And that's a motto he stuck to, I think, throughout his entire career. The one thing you can say about Dylan, he never conformed. So
No.
he tried to make people conform to him, but not the other way around. Um, all right, ladies and gentlemen, moving on. We have an interesting release here. We have Frampton Comes Alive from Peter Frampton, released on the 15th of January 1976, recorded from June to November of 1975, produced by Peter Frampton, released on A&M Records, with a whopping playing time of 78 minutes and 6 seconds, reaching number one across the board, pretty much in the
Yeah.
US and Canada and the UK. A couple of interesting facts about this, um, about Frampton. The album was pressed, hold on a second here, in my notes I have here. The album was pressed on in automatic sequence with sides 1 and 4 pressed back to back and sides 2 on the other disc. This arrangement facilitated sequential listening on
yeah,
automatic record changers. So
I remember those.
I do. Yeah,
I do too. Okay. Now, another interesting fact, which I found out a few years ago. The 1976 movie A Star is Born with Chris Christopherson and Barbara Streisand. The concert footage for the Chris Christopherson sequences were filmed at Peter Frampton concerts. So just
Okay.
a little side note there. But I just found it a little interesting how they kept people there, like, oh, we're going to film a movie. We're doing a movie. Do you want to hang around? Just be background noise. I thought that was interesting. But anyways, Jim, your view on Phantom Comes Alive.
Where to begin with Frampton here?
The beginning.
Let's do it. So,
Yes.
just to set some context, Frampton Alive Comes Alive came out when I was 10. And so Ken, you were about 15, and Armando, you were a wee tot of 5.
Yes.
Um,
But I
this
remember this album.
well, because of your older siblings, I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, this record was freaking everywhere. And it was everywhere because it was really, really good. Um, I don't think it's great. I think there's a lot of the sort of 70s rock god posturing that kind of goes on here. And Frampton was probably,
Yeah.
the reason why there was even a more of an explosion of rock god posturing. I mean, some of the songs are good. Some of the songs are really good, and some of them are just they just sort of lie there. They just don't really do anything. Um, he's an incredibly talented guitarist. I mean, Penny for Your Thoughts, on that opens up side three is just this great little acoustic number. I'll give you money and shine on, or both, big rockers and got some nice good guitar parts in it. Um, Jumpin' Jack Flash, I could have done without that as a cover. I think in the research I did, I think that was actually the concert closer, like the encore, but yet they sequenced it into like the end of side three on the album.
Yeah. Yeah.
The album completely ruled 76 AM radio between uh, "Show Me the Way," "Baby I Love Your Way," and "Do You Feel Like We Do." I mean, Frampton was just freaking inescapable.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, I mean, the towering achievements on this album, which are the three singles, and to me, Lines on My Face, they they carry the lesser songs on this album. I mean, those are the four pillars that sort of make this album uh more than palatable, to me, because you just can't escape how good those songs are, and the energy and electricity and the performances of them. Um, I it's hard to look at this album objectively because, again, I mean, I was 10 when this
Yeah.
came out,
I know.
so it was just, every frickin' pore of your radio throughout the whole year, just it was always Frampton, always, always, always.
Yeah.
Um, it's you gotta hear it just to sort of have the experience and the
Of
context, and to sort of get, what 70s arena rock was all about. Um, you know, pretty pretty slamming, some gentle things here and there, audience participation, but there's just a lot of posturing that goes on here, and I think I just don't know what it is that elevated this album into the stratosphere the way that it did. Those the four songs that I mentioned are outstanding, but it just seemed like the perform. Ken, I see you shaking your head there. I just don't think objectively the performances on this album sort of measure up to the you know accolades and embrace and everything that everyone came to sort of
yeah.
get this album about. Maybe it's because he was a cute young man in purple on an album cover, and the little girls dig that. Maybe some little boys dig that. I don't know, but that's maybe that had a lot to the marketing of it. Maybe that had to do with the package as well.
Okay, well, you just stunned me with that one. Maybe some little boys dig that too. That kind of threw me. Um,
Good thing you were sitting down.
Occupational hazard, my dear boy.
Yeah.
Now, I've got no
Well,
choice, you know. Um, okay,
I want to hear what Ken has to
yeah,
say because he was giving me those looks.
I've
Are you
got my
sure?
opinion. I've got my opinion
Okay.
of this album, but Ken, go ahead.
Talk to
Jim,
me,
you're
Ken.
Jim, listening to what you were saying leads me to believe that you feel that this is a result, or the album is a result of the what'd you call it, rock god posturing. Um, I think
Certainly
it's
in
the other.
that,
I think it's the other way
Zeppelin.
around. I
Well,
think
it
it's the
could
other
be a
way
bit of
around
chicken and the egg. Okay, but
because Frampton, after uh, this is basically a live album of tracks from his 4 or 5 solo albums, which
yeah,
in general were not huge
yes,
huge hits. So I mean, because when this album came out, it debuted at 191. So
Yeah,
this was
yeah,
an album. It's like
yeah.
it's a wonder that this was released as a double album, frankly, by
yeah.
the
And
by the
A&M
record
fought
company.
for it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so and so and then it reached number one like 4 months later. I mean, that's pretty
Slow burn.
fast. That's
Yeah.
the proverbial bullet.
Yeah.
Um, I think, and the reason why I think is, yeah, some of the songs aren't that good, but I mean, the energy on this album, I think, is amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This album, being in high school at the time where I lived, when you hit 15 years old, you were automatically given a free copy of this album and Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. You know, that
Yes.
was just, I'm sorry, here it is. You must take it and you must listen to it ad
And a
nauseum.
copy of it at the opera. Sorry.
It
Sorry,
is
that's
exactly.
it's
And
gotta be said.
so I think its popularity is based on the strength of live music, and
Yes.
that the songs, even the lesser songs on this album, transcend the studio versions. And so yeah, there's a certain amount, and a lot of it is timing, you know, just
Hmm.
when this album came out, because also this album changed the entire music industry.
Yes, it did.
Before this album came out, um record companies, yes, they wanted their hits, but they never expected, you know, record sales in the millions. And this came out and just went so hog wild that after that the record company says, "Hey man, you know, we can make so much more money than we thought we could," which is why there was especially so much pressure on his next album.
I mean
I
you, yeah.
saw
I mean
The
you.
I
less said, the better.
I saw Frampton, I guess about 15 years ago, when he opened for Yes in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Ooh.
And I've bought and I have most of his albums since then. He has not lost a single iota. And several of his albums over the last 10 years are pure instrumentals, and they are absolutely phenomenal. Um, so this just really shows off what he could do. Um, I think he has always had a really good stage presence. The um, the purple haired, you know, guitar rock god, he was just caught up in that after the fact. But
Hmm.
but you know, when this album was released, he was only known for being the guitarist for Humble Pie, and that was it. And he wasn't even the most popular member of Humble Pie. Um, I don't listen to this album very often because I heard so much of it in high school. But
Sure.
I did listen to it a couple of months ago, and it's not my favorite live album, but I think it really holds up very well. I'm amazed at how good the recording is
Yeah.
for the mid
Yeah.
'70s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think how wonderful this album is depends on just how one feels about Peter Frampton specifically,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Ricker.
Well,
How many Peter
Okay.
Frampton albums do you own?
zero.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Same here. Same here.
Well, to the point that you raised, I mean, you didn't need to own a Peter Frampton album in 1976 or 77 because this was just everywhere. It
and
was in
Yeah.
and
cores.
and let's I'll give you my 5 cents because you both gave 15. So, um,
I have more to add, but after you.
well, my addition is this. Jim and Ken, you ignorant sluts. Here we go. In terms of no,
He said lovingly.
of course, you know I love you both very much. You know I do. Um, and everyone watching knows that we love each other. Um, let's put this in context. This album came out at the start of what was known as corporate rock.
Yeah.
Okay, the idea, the concept, the hint, the shadow of corporate rock started with the mass appeal of this album,
Mhm.
where record
Ken
companies
pointed out. Yeah.
believed that they could move mass numbers of units and just on on the promotion of one or two good singles from an album. It's like, okay, the rest we can fill with whatever, and all we need is that one or two those one or two singles that are gonna just launch this son of a bitch into the stratosphere. And what do they do? First of all, let's backtrack here. What A&M were doing with Frampton, Casablanca already did with Kiss Alive a year before.
Mhm.
Not even a year before. Kiss Alive came out September 10th, 1975. That SOB took off like a mother. All right. Now, years later, we find out that, excuse me, that Kiss Alive was not, in fact, a full live album.
Oh,
Perish the thought. And by the way, a little side note, $640 for the Kiss Alive 50th anniversary box set ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. But moving on. Now, back to Frampton Comes Alive. This album, musically, sonically, the instrumentation on this album is amazing. Is amazing.
yeah.
Okay. Name me any song besides the hits, besides uh Do You Feel Like We Do, or I Love You Away, or Baby I Love You Away, or the other
Show me
hit,
the way.
Show Me the Way. Sorry.
Yeah.
Name me any other song in this album that really sticks out in your mind.
Doobie
Lines
Wop.
on my face.
Okay. All right. But what I'm saying is those songs, those hits are still played on classic rock radio today.
Sure.
The live
Yeah.
versions
Yeah.
on K97 here in Edmonton. The studio versions are not even touched.
No,
Hmm.
Okay.
not at all.
Um, this is a well put together album. The hits come to mind for me. They do. The rest of the album is like, what are these songs? You know what I mean? I do like Penny for Your Thoughts
Mhm.
as a as an instrumental, but I think and if you look at the analogy of the Kiss Alive, Ken said it. His first few albums for A&M studio releases didn't sell that much. So what does A&M do? They release Phantom Comes Alive. What did Casablanca do? You know,
Kiss Alive too.
well, no, Kiss, their first three albums sold marginally well, 50,000, 60,000 units individually. What does Kiss do? What Casablanca do? We're gonna give you one more chance. We release a live album, Kiss Alive. Boom, the thing explodes. They go on. It's like, but for in Frampton's case, it didn't work because if you look at, and I'm not saying I agree with this. Frampton Comes Alive sold 8 million copies in the U.S. alone. I'm in You in 1977, 3 million.
Yeah,
A&M saw that as a disappointment. I
yeah,
don't. I
yeah,
don't. But from record company standards, everything was put on the fact of on the shoulders of Frampton Comes Alive,
yeah,
right?
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it didn't pan out in the
yeah.
eyes of the critics, in the eyes of the record buying public. What was it? Was it like a supernova that happened? I don't know with Frampton Comes Alive. But for me, like again, my history with this album, Mario had this album, my brother-in-law, I believe it was Mario, because all of a sudden it shows up at my house one day and Carmela gives it to me to listen to, and it's like, oh, okay. But as a 6-year-old, 5-year-old, am I understanding the full grasp of the music? No, because I'm 5 years old. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm into music, but the full idea of what this album represents, no clue. No clue.
Yeah.
My question is to you two before we move on to the final album on this episode. Does this album stand the test of time
Uh, yes, but
with
it's
a
a
caveat?
qualified yes.
With a
You know,
caveat. What is your
yeah, I
caveat?
think the caveat is that it is a, like we were sort of talking about. It's a place where the record industry changed. It's
Yes.
also, to me, it's emblematic of, the chicken and the egg relationship between, the rock god persona and, did was Frampton Comes Alive the result of the rock god persona like Led Zeppelin, or did Frampton Comes Alive cause the rock god persona? I think, arguments could be made both ways
I
in that, and I think it's it, it I think it's an essential listen because it's like a rite of passage. You have to go through it to understand the arc of popular music from, the 70s on. And if people want, like another bit of feeling about that whole thing, well, watch Almost Famous, of which Peter was an advisor along with the one half of Heart. So,
yeah, yeah, okay. I mean, and uh, arguments could be made that Kiss Alive was the start of, live albums being an essential part of or a part of an artist's catalog, or Phantom Comes Alive could be listed as an album that launched the idea of, oh, every artist has to have a live album in their catalog. So,
yeah.
Well,
personally, musically, the I'm just saying in closing arguments for me, musically, it's a wonderful album, a wonderful sounding album. Musically, it's on point. Vocally, for me, eh, meh. It, I don't know. It is what it is. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
it's okay.
Ken.
Just two final points. In addition to this album and Kiss Alive, I would also put Bob Seger's
Oh,
Bullet
Live Bullet.
Live,
Yeah.
Live Bullet. Same thing. His preceding solo albums were just moderately selling at best, and that threw him into the stratosphere. Luckily, he was able to come out with a really good studio album afterwards, Night Moves. But
Yeah.
also, this Frampton Comes Alive is not timeless. To me, I still hear mid 70s. However, it has stood the years well for me.
Yeah.
So it's probably straddling the difference between, but there it is. It's a landmark album, and I think for a very good reason.
Yep. I would gladly listen to that, the combination of the acoustic guitar and the Fender Rhodes on Baby I Love Your Way. Outstanding, outstanding recording, outstanding performance, great sonic overlay between the two. It's just a phenomenal song.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've probably never heard the studio version. Don't need to. Why would I?
Yeah.
You
It's
see,
it's just this little 4 minute slice of perfection right
but
there.
yeah, and we can go into a whole thing about seeing, the live versions being better than studio versions, or we can go into a whole other segment about that, but we won't. I
Sure.
mean,
That's another
the
episode.
yeah, yeah, it's a good one to talk about. Um, Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, ending off part one of January album anniversaries, and this is tied into Peter Frampton. We have David Bowie with Station to Station, released on the 23rd of January, 1976, recorded from September to November of 1975 for RCA, produced by Bowie and Harry Maslin. 6 tracks in total with a whopping playing time of 37 minutes 54 seconds. The tie-in to Peter Frampton is Peter Frampton's father was David Bowie's teacher in school. There we go.
I did not know that.
And
Yeah.
you know, and you always learn something new, don't you?
Yes.
And
Well,
yeah, and Frampton also played on Bowie's Glass Spider tour
Hmm.
along with Carlos
Yes.
Alomar. Yeah,
yes.
yes. Oh,
Yes.
okay. Now the singles form, Station to Station, were TBC 15, Golden Years, and Stay. So before I get in, give my opinion on this album, oh, I should also state that this album was the first album I do believe to be released, written, produced, and released shortly after David Bowie's departure from his management agreement with Mayman Management and Tony DeFries. He was living in LA at the time, and this was the first album that actually saw Bowie, along with his album, greatest hits album, Changes One Bowie, start to make any money for him because he was locked into that
Yeah.
management deal with Tony DeFries that basically like made him no money. So we won't get into that. But Jim, your opinion on Station to Station?
I'm going to start with a list of adjectives about this record,
Yes,
or maybe they're adverbs. I don't know. We'll
yes,
see.
yes.
Listening to these tracks, uh, I hear prog, I hear glam, I
Mm-hmm.
hear krautrock, I hear doo-wop, I hear soul, I hear jazz, I hear funk, I hear a symphony. The this is a flawless album to me. I mean, we did our 31 perfect albums series, and I believe this was one of them for me. I just think this is an astounding work from the whole, you know, German expressionist film, cinematic beginnings of the railway engine of Station to Station all the way through, Bowie taking on Nina Simone with Wild as the Wind at the end. Um, the cover of this was from the movie sessions for The Man Who Fell to Earth, which
Mm-hmm.
between that and Station to Station is, Bowie's coke period. And you kind of hear that that coked out doo-wop all in golden years. Um, Man, this album is just, to me, it stands outside of time, which to me is is an element which can make a perfect album. It's like, even though, yes, you hear the 70s in there in terms of the styles that were going on, it doesn't sound tethered to the 70s. You can listen to it today and it still sounds vibrant, creative, urgent, unlike anything else that's going on. Um, I just think this is an absolutely, astounding record. You can't deny what great tracks, Golden Years and TBC 15 are from a production standpoint, from performance. But to me, the diamond of this album is Stay. The first time I ever heard this song, I'm just like, this might be my absolutely most favorite Bowie song ever. And it has just remained that
Yeah.
over the years, just this twin guitar groove funk disco melding that's going on. It's just absolutely astounding. I adore this album, and I would listen to Stay over and over and over again just to try to study it and figure out how why it works as wonderfully as it does. Yeah, Station to Station. I mean, of the five albums that we talked about today, this is by far the bitchinest to me.
Okay. Ken, any opinion?
Yeah, this my love of Bowie started with the previous album, Young Americans. Not a big fan of his glam period. Um, and I find starting with Young Americans, he I felt was just really going in several different directions at once, which I really liked. Um, so this album is definitely in the middle of this period that I just really like this period of Bowie. Um, this album has got some incredible performers on it. Particularly Roy Battan on keyboards and organ.
Yeah.
Um, oh, it just
Yeah,
adds so
TVC
much to it.
15. Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just um, I don't think Carlos gets enough credit
Hell
for
no.
his guitar period
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
with Bowie.
Mm-mm.
Um,
No.
um, it's just a very solid album. And as a native Italian, Armando,
Go on.
what do you think? Were you offended by the song Golden Years?
Was I supposed to be? Nice.
yeah. What? Help me
Well,
out, Ken.
well, Jim,
I'm glad to see I'm not the only one
you
in the dark
mentioned
here.
doo-wop, but there's no do in there.
Well, oh, you bad. Oh, okay. I get it.
Wow.
It's just wop wop
Oh,
wop.
okay.
There's some
God
early.
bless
It just came
vodka.
to me that there's some
Okay.
early rapping on that song too.
Yeah.
Some of these days when it won't be long. I mean, just
Yeah.
this whole, it's like, wow, okay,
Okay. Again,
so
ladies and
ahead of time.
gentlemen,
It's a great
catch
album.
Ken's show at midnight. It gets worse.
Yeah,
Okay.
wait till I start drinking.
Yeah, I know. Uh,
I wish you
But
okay.
would.
I agree with you, Jim. I agree with you on this album.
Okay.
It's not my favorite, but it's up there.
What is your favorite Bowie album? Is it Young Americans?
No, Scary Monsters.
Oh,
Yeah,
ripping.
Ooh.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay.
Anyway,
My view of this album, I was trying to think, trying to come up with show ideas. I came up with one that I'm going to work on. I want to talk to you too about off camera. But in terms of this being my favorite Bowie album, it's either this one uh, or Heroes. Uh, this album for me, it's like a one-two punch. I mean, you've got Station to Station, the intro, like with the train intro.
mhm.
I saw him live doing Station to Station, and the buildup of the train, like the chugging of the train, just from 0 to like 100. It was just like watching it live was like I don't know, it's in my mind, like it's like that. It was that powerful for me. This
Which
was in
tour was that, Armando?
1990. This was a Sound and Vision tour
Sound and Vision with Adrian. Yeah.
that he did in Toronto, and literally before the show, he had said, "Okay, these songs will never be performed again. Say goodbye, Toronto." And then he launched into the show. Boom. And when I saw this live, like first of all, the players on this album, Carlos Alomar, hello, like, are you freaking kidding me here? Earl Slick, Earl Bitton, like Roy Bitton, like Come on, you know, uh, amazing,
Yeah.
amazing work on this album. And for me, this album, okay, Station to Station's amazing. Golden Years, AM, FM, Gold or Platinum. You know, the lead off single for the album, I do believe, TVC 15. If you everybody out there watching, check out on YouTube a live version of this that he did on Saturday Night Live in 1979, dressed as a stewardess. Okay,
As you do.
enough said. Enough said. Um, it's amazing. It's an amazing album. Sonically, it is wonderfully done and produced, arranged. It is just from top to bottom. Um, Wild is the Wind. I cry when I hear that. I cry. And I didn't even know that Johnny Mathis did it for a film from
Mhm.
1959. I didn't even know that Johnny Mathis did one of the versions of this. I knew that it wasn't a Bowie composition, but he owns this song.
Sure.
Pretty much.
My love and respect for Nina Simone aside, and I love and respect Nina Simone. I think she was just way ahead of her time. But pardon my language, he fucking owns that song. The emotion, the delivery, just the sheer blinding devotion that he has for this person that he's singing about. He owns this song, full stop. And as an album closer, I think it was just a master stroke. It was just wonderfully done, wonderfully produced, arranged. It's top to bottom. That song alone is like weight platinum for me. And the black and white video that you can see on YouTube, it just adds to the emotion of the song. It just adds to it. It's like film noir. You know what I mean when you watch it because of the camera angles and the blocking and the shadow and the light. It's just yeah, yeah.
Yep.
This album for me is wonderful. Word on a Wing is a good track as well. I mean, it's short and to the point, and there are certain artists, we've said this before, where there's jazz fusion, there's and then there's Pat Metheny. There's with me, there's art, you know what I
Speaking
mean?
of David Bowie.
Exactly. He was another artist along with Dylan that was learned early on that he was going to do whatever the hell he wanted. And whoever wanted to come along for the ride, hold on, or I'll see you later. You know what I mean? Or if you want to enjoy one of my albums, that's fine and want to move on, that's great. But there's going to be something for everybody that they can listen to. Bowie has always been one of those artists. Whether or not you like his 60s period, you like his 70s period, which through the 70s he went through glam rock, he went through krautrock, rock, he went through art rock, or the Thin White Duke period, or he went into, the Berlin trilogy, and then went into, the what I call scary monsters. Uh, oh my God, early industrial.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure. Yeah.
whatever period you like, or the '80s, the pop period, whatever, which he didn't like after all. There's something there for everybody with Bowie, and for me, this album just smacks of brilliance to me. And if, I'm not going to say anymore. I can't. Otherwise I'll fall out of the chair. It is just wonderful. It is wonderful. Um, there's been remasters and upon remasters about this album. Get yourself a good copy of it, whether it be vinyl, whether it be CD. Sit down with a coffee, turn off or a drink, turn off the lights, close your eyes, and go for the ride.
Yep.
You're done. You're done.
Yeah.
That's it. I need a
And then
cigarette.
later on, within this year, they released Changes One,
Yep.
Bowie, the greatest hits. It's one of the greatest or best greatest hits albums of all time.
It's one of the greatest hits albums of all time.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
agreed.
It's yeah. I think he was coke-induced or not, he was firing on all cylinders. And to be fair, a little side note, when he when he relocated to LA, he first stayed with Glenn Hughes, bassist and vocalist for Deep Purple at the time. Yeah, not a good way to go. I'm sorry at the time. I mean, let's
In
be
terms of
honest
life
here.
decisions, shaky.
No, no. And he's often referred to his LA period as his lost period. But what do? You regroup, you hook up with Iggy Pop, and you move to Berlin, you know? So, I mean, it's neither here nor there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of part one of a very long January album anniversaries. Albums celebrating their 60th and 50th anniversaries, respectively. This is part one. Please stay tuned for our next episode of part two of January album anniversaries. I wanted to do a little side note very quickly and very quickly. I want to unequivocally state I love doing episodes with these two individuals, along with Sagosh, along with Bill Schuster, whenever he will be coming back on the channel. But I think that we balance each other out very well in terms of our uh, verbal Wimbledon that goes on these episodes, and we do sort of bounce off of one another and we feed off of one another's energy. And another one of our viewers has said that watching these episodes is like watching friends over a cup of coffee, just talking about music. And that is exactly the vibe I wanted to create in doing this channel. And I want to thank these two. Thank you for contributing to that aesthetic and that vibe and the whole idea of that. And again, we want to thank you all for watching. And please put down in the comments your opinions of these albums, whether or not you like them, whether or not you hate them. We just want to get a dialogue going. And there is nothing wrong with opinion. And that's all there is, opinion. So please join us again for another episode. Click like and subscribe, and do hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content we've got coming up. And we will see you soon on Music Then. Bye for now.